You are now tuned in to the
Welcome
to the Holly. You're now tuned into the
Holly Flavor Podcast episode number 5.
You are now tuned in. You are now tuned in to the
Holly Flavor Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Holly Flavor Podcast. This is episode number 5. I am your host, Eddie Royal. I am here. I'm live on Facebook, live on Instagram, as always. And hopefully everyone's having a good day. It's raining here in Philly again. It was raining last podcast, and it came out pretty good. So let's just jump right into things. First, let me just get like the small things out the way. Well, not small, it's major, but it's not that big on entertainment. It's more social views. There's a couple teams claiming or reported to be interested in potentially signing Colin Kaepernick, or at least have interest in him as a quarterback. The Patriots, and I think the other team was the Oakland Raiders. So I'm actually semi excited about that. Just for him. I don't know what the actual reasoning is behind it and things of that nature, but I am excited for him if he can actually get back into football, because it is something that he loves, and I believe, and many of us believe, that he is being robbed of an opportunity to pursue his passion because of his social views, which are, trying to find the right word, but they're positive, they're good social views. I think that everyone should be fighting for, as far as social injustice. It shouldn't matter your race, color, creed, and all that stuff like that. So moving on from that, hopefully he gets signed. If it's not by one of those two teams, it's by any team. He doesn't have to be a starter. I would like to see him back in the league for the long term, because I think he still got some football left in him, and I think he's better than at least 5 to 10 of the starting quarterbacks currently in the league. So somebody should be giving him a call. So moving on from that, last week we were talking about Katt Williams and Kevin Hart. Not really a beef. Even Kev said it wasn't a beef, but we did talk about it a little bit. We talked from Katt Williams' end because he was on the radio show Frank and Wanda or something like that, and he went and talking about Tiffany Haddish, and a lot of people are going to have an issue with that. There were some people who agreed with it, and I agree with the sentiment at that time as far as how, like, Netflix did their numbers and things like that, because I also said that I don't know. I don't work for Netflix. I've never been offered a Netflix deal or anything like that, so I didn't know. But it did sound legit as far as, he sold X amount of tickets, so their value for him is like that. They value him at that because of how many tickets he sold. That's why they value Monique at what they valued her as, because of how many tickets sold, blah, blah, blah. So Kev turns and says that's not how they do it. I guess for everybody. That's not how they do it for everybody. That is probably a good way to look at it, but that's not how they do it for everyone. Because, of course, if he was complaining about Tiffany Haddish not having her own solo tour and things like that, why did they offer her what they offered her if she didn't have those ticket sales? So, and it started making a little bit of sense, because, Kev even admitted that they gave him a $40 million deal as well. That around the same time they gave Chappelle a deal and Chris Rock and all those other things that they gave, they gave him money too. And he said it was something that he felt like he didn't need to brag about. So just recapping on that, just the fact that he was saying that Katt Williams' numbers were inaccurate as far as how many tickets sold, and things of that nature. It was not shocking, because numbers are skewed in any facet of entertainment. Everyone always finds a way to tweak some numbers somehow to benefit themselves. And if they can, play with the numbers as an entertainer, honestly, I say go for it, because that's what is going to bring in more money from sponsors and endorsements and things like that. And the major companies skew their numbers as well, and they're the ones who actually control the numbers. So if you're skewing numbers for certain artists or entertainers to make the overall grand scheme of things look a lot bigger than what it already is, if as an entertainer you can find a way to skew your numbers, I'm all for the game. I am all for the game. I'm with it. So with that being said, like, how do people feel as for like I don't think it's gonna go further than where it is. Kev pretty much stood his ground and made his stance, and he was really taking up for Tiffany Haddish and things like that, and that was like highly commendable. Even on the fact that he's speaking like, I'm not a perfect person and things like that, but I can say I have seen Kev always trying to put other people on. I've always seen it. I've seen it, for the most part of his career, that's able to be seen by the public. So that's great, and I agree with what he was saying as far as, I'm trying to get these people that are under me, and I'm trying to put them in better positions to win. Especially as black people and things like that, because they do complain. As a culture, we do complain that we're not in this area, we're not in that area, we're not being recognized for this, and we're not being recognized for that. And then when we start to get that recognition, it always turns into something else, like, oh, that person didn't deserve it, it should have been this person, or those people didn't deserve to be in that, it should have been these people. And it is kind of upsetting, because I know it didn't happen in someone else's timeline, but we complained about it and we fought for it, etc., etc. And we are always so fast to say the person that got what we considered to be winning was undeserving of winning. At that point, it should have been someone who was 10 years before or something like that. But you got to realize sometimes that's when we first started complaining about it. It's not going to happen overnight when we first say something. A lot of things take time, because sometimes you have to make people realize the worth of something. And it's sad to say, but even in entertainment, it's a numbers game. It's always been about numbers. If there are more of one race of people buying into something because they see people like them, as a business, the smart business move would be to continue to do what's working. If people like Tom Cruise because he's white and relatable, and there's more white relatable people buying into the content, these entertainment companies are going to continue to book Tom Cruise. You see what I'm saying? And I get that. I understand it. I'm not saying it's the best thing to do morally, but what I'm saying, as a business, those are the best business moves to make, because as a business we have to make money, because we had to pay Tom Cruise $25 million, and then we got to find how we're going to get that money back. I can't go and pay somebody else who's not pulling that type of money, just so we can say we're equaling the playing field, and then we don't get that money back in any facet, because the people who are buying into it don't want to see that person, or they can't relate to that person, or they don't know that person. So a lot of those things, for me as a business move, it makes sense. And yes, I do want to see more of all cultures involved in entertainment, period. This goes back to me asking, like, who's able to be in hip hop, but we'll get to that another time. Just entertainment in general, if it's taking entertainers like Kevin Hart to what a lot of people, I'm not going to say we as in me, because I didn't agree with this, but a lot of people were saying, like, he's cooning and he's selling out, he's playing these roles, and he's not the main actor for real, he's behind a white guy, or, and things like that. And I'm like, what else do you want him to do? What else do you want entertainers to do, period? Like, it's like everybody has to sacrifice everything in order to make people who say they want to buy into them happy, but they won't be happy. They won't have the finances to be able to live whatever the best version of their life is, or whatever they have set out for themselves. If they continue to sacrifice and be like, all right, I'm not going to do that movie because The Rock is the lead, like, he is the face, and I'm just like the comedic black guy in the background, I don't want to do it. And he's missing out on opportunities to continuously be put in front of masses of people who he might not reach on a regular basis. And we want him to be like, yeah, Kev, stand up for us. And then we turn around and we have a situation like Kaepernick, someone who goes out on a whim, stands up for us, and now he doesn't have a job. And yes, most of us are backing him as a culture. A lot of us are saying, like, yeah, like, I really support what he did, and some of us, went on strike and didn't watch football. And this year, some of us are right back into football, watching it because we missed it. You know, it's an entertaining sport and things like that, and we're right back into it. I was not one of the people who went on strike and decided not to watch football, but I do agree with everything that Kaepernick is doing. I like watching football. So we go out and we complain, and we were all at bat for Monique. Well, not all, but we were all in support, saying that Monique should have been offered more money. We all weren't in support of how she did it. But now that Tiffany Haddish went out and she had got some money from Netflix, and we all was kind of like, Katt Williams is speaking a little truth, and she really didn't do nothing, and Monique is a legend, and all this stuff like that. And we're like, yeah, I agree. I agree she's a legend. She deserves more money and things like that. But who was checking for her? I said it before, like, in reality, who was at that time was checking for Monique? Tiffany Haddish is hot right now. In any industry, when you're hot right now, companies want you right now. They try to get money from you or off of your brand or your name while you're hot right now at that moment. Nobody was checking for Monique. Yeah, if she was doing a tour and she was coming through the city, I would try to get some tickets and go. But I'm not looking up Monique to see when her next tour date is. You see what I'm saying? Like, people were looking like, oh man, Tiffany Haddish real funny. What other movies are she in right now? What she got coming up? They were checking for her, so she got a couple dollars off it. She worked hard. Let her get it. I don't know what part of black entertainment isn't compromised in some subversive ass way. I don't know. I think every form of entertainment is compromised. I think every portion of entertainment is compromised, whether you're white, black, you're a female, if you're Asian, anything. I think that roles are placed on people now, the way entertainment goes. You just gotta be a hot commodity. That's all it really is. People don't even care if you really got like talent no more. Sometimes if you have skill in acting or if in music, they be like, nah, this person's smoking hot. We gotta get them on a show, or we gotta get them in this movie, because while they're good, we're gonna be able to make extra 5 to 10, maybe 20 million off this person, just the name alone. And we probably only gotta pay them 500,000, $1 million. That's a flip. I pay you $1 million, but I gross 20 off of it. That's a super flip. That's crazy. And all companies would do that. Sometimes especially as black people, I don't think a lot of us don't take the time to step back and look and say, all right, this is a business, and this business is trying to make money. If it was me as a business, would I hire the person that's going to bring me in more money, or would I would I just hire somebody because a small portion, because we're minorities, a small portion of society is complaining about not seeing a person, but when a major portion of society is saying, I just want to see a good movie, and we like this person better as an actor or as an actress, what are we supposed to do? As the company, what are you supposed to do? It's people out here like, it's almost like when you picking your friends. You know what I'm saying? You categorize your friends on who's the most important, who's your best friend, and things like that. You do that based off of the value that they have and the value that they bring into your life. It's the same thing in business. It's literally the same exact thing. What value do you bring here to my company? What value do you bring here to my life as a friend? It's no different. Sometimes we got to simplify things, break it down and look at it from a different angle and stop just saying, oh, they're black, so they didn't fuck with us. That's not always a thing. Sometimes you could be great. You can be a good actor. Like Kev's funny. He's super funny. Super funny. But if they think Will Ferrell is going to bring in 30 more million than Kev in a certain movie as the funny guy, they're gonna go with Will Ferrell. And if we knew that both of them was going off for the same movie, all of black people like, oh, Will Ferrell only got it because he's white. No, I think Will Ferrell's fucking funny. He's funny too. There's no difference. Sometimes it's a business decision. Sometimes. I'm not saying there aren't racist things in plays and things like that. There are a lot of racist stopgates in the entertainment industry. And some of it has to do just with blatant racism. Some of it also has to do with how a lot of us carry ourselves, or how a lot of us try to present ourselves as entertainers or as musicians and things like that. You know, some of us aren't allowed to be in certain places because we don't know how to act. And I don't mean we as people, I mean that individual person. And it's been proven. They might be good at their craft, they might be great at their craft. And then they're shown in public places acting crazy. And you gotta think, you know, when you get put on a bigger platform, if it's a major movie, we gotta do press runs. Put you in front of a bunch of people all the time. And if you ever shown acting a fool, you're a fool. If you're not a comedian acting a fool, they might be done for that. I agree. The real problem is black people have been trying to define themselves for other people for years, almost for 500 years. I agree. And I'm reading it off my Facebook Live. But I agree. I think that we do spend a lot of time trying to prove our worth to people that we also claim we don't really care for as much to care about us. So it's weird. It's one of them things like, I don't give a fuck if they like me, but why they don't like me though? That's weird as fuck. Like, pick your struggle. If you don't care, if you don't care if a certain demographic of people don't like you, stop trying to cater to those people as well so they can like you. But you're doing that because those are the people who are buying the most. Those are the people who have the most pool because they have the most dollars as a collective. So you gotta pick your struggles wise. You can't say fuck them, I want them at the same time. Like, nah, you gotta figure that shit out. And I'm not saying you don't, like, you shouldn't speak up for what you think is right. You should always speak up for what you think is right. You should always think for yourself to have your best interests at heart. But you also gotta be careful with the things that you say, because you sound real hypocritical when you know, if you don't like this group, you don't care about this group, but then when this group don't accept you, you're fighting to be accepted by that group that you don't like. If you don't like them, you shouldn't even care to be accepted by them or not. So pick your struggle. You know, it's crazy. I can go on about this all day. It's just one of those things, you know, you just go off on crazy tangents and stuff like that. But let's move on. Let's move on from that. We had Cardi B had her incident a couple weeks ago, Nicki Minaj, Fashion Week, and all that stuff like that. But I'm not touching on that. She just been in the news, and her supposed anniversary just came up between her and Offset. Just a quick backstory. You know, they got together. They had these mini breakups that he was, you know, cheating on her with strippers, this other girl who looks, you know, way better than Cardi, and all these other things. And they were talking about that for a while. They got back together. Next thing you know, they got married. But then he proposed to her after they got married at Powerhouse. And now, today or a couple of days ago or something like that, within the last week, their anniversary, their wedding anniversary came about, and Cardi B dropped a picture of them at their ceremony. It's just a picture of her, Offset, and another, I guess, the person that married them. And I think it's bullshit. 100% I call bullshit. Like, I don't think that, I don't think that they were married at that time at all. Because around that same time they were talking about, okay, they're going to get engaged, and then they're going to discuss trying to get a special similar to how Gucci and his wife had their special for their wedding. They were in discussion with, I don't know, maybe VH1 or something about that. And I was like, well, you know, let's see her go get this back. But that never happened, and she ended up being, oh, we already got married secretly and things like that. That to me, that's corny. It's bullshit. Show them papers, man. Show those papers. I need to see, like, you gotta post a picture of your marriage certificate. Like, I need to see that. The date, the time, and then even then I probably still won't believe it, because You can forge any type of document on the face of this earth these days. You can just forge it all, and you got enough money to do it, and for it to look 100% legit. You got enough money to do it, and somebody backdated at the court system for you. So I don't believe it. I think it's real corny. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Maybe it was one of them things because like I'm pregnant. I'm not going to have my child out of wedlock and all this other stuff. Maybe that was the big thing behind it, you know, but because I think Cardi B is somebody who's chasing the bag. And if the bag was, let's get this money for this special to get married, are we doing that? I don't think you just going to go off and get married for nothing, for $0. Because I don't know how long they've been together, but I don't think they was together long enough to jump out the window and do that, in my opinion. But you can't really say how hard somebody fall in love with somebody and stuff like that these days. You know, it's against the societal rule of saying you did that too fast, right? Whatever. Nah, it is what it is. You know, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't care. I don't think that they were really married, all that stuff. So, but speaking of people who were married, let's move on. Let's shift over to Kanye. Kanye addresses Nick Cannon, addresses Drake. Somehow he addressed Tyson Beckford. I don't know how that got into it, but I don't remember exactly what was said about him or towards him. But let's take it to people that a lot of us know or care about currently. So he addressed Drake saying that, you know, if I had a girlfriend named whatever close to, and I made a song named Riri, I can't remember what girl he said the girl's name, but if I made a song named Riri, you know, I wouldn't make a song named Riri because of his relationship with Drake, and if he was in a relationship or married to Rihanna, just for example, he gave an example, and I'm like, he didn't make a song named Kiki. He didn't make a song name. That's not the name of the song, for one. So I was like, shut the fuck. What are you talking about? That's not the name of the song, you know. And up until that point, nobody was even thinking he was talking about Kim Kardashian. From what I know I wasn't at all. Nobody was like, oh, he's definitely talking about Kim now. But he wasn't thinking about that at all. Now you got people thinking like, oh, maybe he really did have some sexual dealings with your wife. Because now you're bringing that stuff into light. And a lot of that goes into now, if you want to think about it, it's like, hey, you announced your move back to Chicago. You said you're never leaving again. Your wife said me and the kids are not going there with you. We're not moving to Chicago. Sorry. No, it's not happening. And I get it from Kim's point. Like, why the hell would I move to Chicago? Why? Any part of Chicago. Why would I move? Like, why would I take my high profile ass to that place? You know, high crime, murders. All, like, why would I even, you know, I don't want my kids nowhere near that. I don't want to be, you know, kidnapped for somebody's ransom. I don't want to be killed, raped. Nothing. So I feel her on that. But at the same time, it's like, why would you do it? Why would you move? You don't have to move back to Chicago to help Chicago. Because you're a target too. Regardless of how you feel, you're a target there too. Like, people might love you there. It's somebody there that's hungry enough to love you and still like jam you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that. What you got on? And Kanye hasn't been shown to be like the flashy guy lately and stuff like that. But still, they'll try. They'll hope you got something of value on your person. Something. They don't care. So you're willing to leave your wife and kids behind to go back to Chicago so you can work on this out, finish working on this album with Chance, do some charitable things, sell some merch, and then what? Move back maybe? See, here's my thing. You can tell me that you're moving back and never leaving, but just because you like, change your address, have your mail go to one place or something. Like, your permanent residence can be Chicago, but don't stay there. You know? Cycling back around talking about how I think it affects this whole addressing Drake and stuff issue. Is like, you're willing to do that now. I feel like now there's a little bit of tension in the household, because now I feel like maybe Kim and Kanye had that conversation. Like, all right, listen, I'm tired of hearing about this. Like, did you? Like, did you really have sex with my mans? You know what I'm saying? Even if it was before we got married, I need to know. And what was the sentence? What was the Bill Cosby sentence? If it's recent, I don't know. Somebody asked me on my Facebook Live, what do I think about the Bill Cosby sentence? I don't know. I don't know if something new has happened with the sentencing. I'm not sure. I kind of backed off from the whole Bill Cosby situation for a while. He only got 3 to 10 years in prison, and then what? That's it? Just 3 to 10 years in prison, and then that's it? Oh, he was just sentenced like just now? 3 to 10 years. I'm gonna look this up. So it's Bill Clinton. What the fuck? Bill Cosby, sentenced to 3 to 10 years. 3 years minimum. 10 years max in prison for sexual assault. Let's talk about it real fast. Before I get into how I feel about it, because as I look at you guys, I'll read off what you say. I will just briefly look into and see what's going on here, so that way I can be a little more in tune. So Bill Clinton sentenced to 3 to 10 years, 3 years minimum, 10 years maximum in prison for sexual assault. I still think he ain't do it though. I don't know. I think I'm not gonna say I don't think Bill Cosby didn't do it. I think he did. I think that he also did it with. I think he also did it, and the women who were doing it, and a lot of them admitted that they knew that it was going on. Like they knew, like hey, like he'll tell you, hey, listen, I'm about to put this in your drink. We're gonna have a good time tonight. And they're like, yeah, he like bloop, drop it in. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I get upset. Because the timeline, like a lot of these women waited years, or they waited for somebody else to come forward and all this other stuff, and the timeline is ridiculous. Because I'm like, yo, why wait this long? Like, why wait this long? I mean, yeah, if he was going to do the years they were asking for in court, he would have died in prison. I mean, he still might die in prison, and I wish no death on Bill Cosby, but he's old. You know, like, you don't know. But then again, his prison versus a regular, like, I don't know if he's going to be in a standard prison, you know, with the, like, they got prison for people with money. They got different places with people with money, and they can be, you know, they can live okay. They just don't have all of the freedoms of being on the outside, but they have enough freedoms to be comfortable enough for prison. So, I don't, you know, who would, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, who knows, man? He's definitely too old to be in prison doing anything longer than 10 years. He's too old for that. But going back, like, a lot of these women came forward and said, yeah, I knew he was putting the Quaaludes in my drink, but that still doesn't give him the right to X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be, or all of the sexual acts that they said that was happening and stuff like that. While I agree that it doesn't give you the right to sexually assault somebody, I feel like Bill Cosby had these conversations because some of them say, like, I knew that he was doing it. I knew that he put it in my drink, or he told me, and just because it was Bill Cosby, you know, I felt comfortable enough to be in that room or that situation and things like that. And I'm like, why? Why? Why would you feel comfortable with someone saying, hey, I'm going to drug you so we can have a good time? What do you think is going to happen after that? What do you think is going to happen when someone tells you something like that? I'm going to put this in your drink. You're going to be high out of your mind. You might not remember the entire night. We're going to have a great time. And you're just like, okay. Like, who the fuck in their right mind does that? Outside of someone who's potentially starstruck or something like that. It's like, come on, man. And then 20 years, 10 years, 50 years, 30 years later, you want to come out and be like, oh, he raped me too, and all this other stuff like that. And then you be like, damn. And you don't want to feel insensitive to people who are victims. You don't. But then you be like, oh, bitch, please. Like, are you serious? You wait till he's fucking 80? Like, that shit is sick. On both sides. Sick to do it, sick to wait 20 years to tell. That's wild. That's wild. He get 3 to 10. I commend his fucking lawyers. Fuck it. He got enough money. He had a good team. He get 3 to 10, 3 years minimum, so he'll probably be out in 3 or a little less than 3 for good behavior, because I don't see Bill Cosby acting up in prison. Or he might get 1.5 and the other 1.5 on fucking max, house arrest max in his own place, like fucking Martha Stewart. She was in her own crib for a while. Like, just, you can't leave. Locked in your own crib. Okay. 3 to 10 for Bill Cosby. Good win for his team. He got a good team. You know, especially now in this Me Too era, man, it's crazy. This Me Too era is crazy. And let's touch on that real quick. So the Me Too era is on and it's popping. It is, like, everything's Me Too. Me Too, Me Too, Me Too. If you don't know what the Me Too era is, please go look it up in depth of how it started, why it's around, and things like that. From my understanding, it's one of the situations where, and it started with a lot of females in the entertainment industry. They're trying to get the same jobs as men get, equal opportunity, blah blah blah, all that stuff. It's always about equal opportunity for the most part. And you go and you say, you go to this producer, or you go to this director, or you go to this whatever, this head of the record label, whatever, and they be like, you know, I'm trying to work here. They call you in, like, let me see what you got, entertainment wise. And they be like, yeah, well, you know, we're considering some other people. We got this young lady, this guy, this young lady, these other men, blah, blah, blah. You know, what are you willing to do for this part? Or what are you willing to do to be signed? Blah, blah, blah. And, of course, they're insinuating a sexual act. What are you willing to do? And for the ones who walk out of that office, I commend that. I just walk out and be like, nah, fuck that. I ain't doing it. I'm not selling my soul, so to speak, for spotting your thing. Cool, I like it. The people who walk out of that office and speak up about it immediately, I commend that times of infinity. You're the ones I like. I like the ones who be like, this motherfucker just told me if I suck his dick, I'll get this fucking next role in this movie. Just now. In the office, just now. I like those people. The ones I don't like are the ones who did it. The ones who sucked this, all these women who suck dick to get roles and record deals and shit like that. And then 5 years, 10 years later, you want to talk about it, and now this person's fucking nasty. And we're looking at somebody that we fucking loved for a long time, these head of labels and shit like that. We look at them like, damn, you was my mans, yo. And now you doing shit like this. And some of us don't even see that as that bad. Like, some of us don't see that as like, my man got his fucking dick sucked and she got a record deal. So what? But the business of it is like, that's disgusting. Or you're abusing your power to, you know, for a sexual act. And we know what it is. And it happens on all levels of business. It's probably chicks out here sucking dick to managers to get a job at Family Dollar. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see it. It happens. So, what's the difference? And it's not good. It's not good. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I am not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that if you're going to speak up about it now, like when it happens. Don't wait 5 years. Don't wait 10 years. Don't wait till their biggest box office selling movie come out and then you want to come behind it because then you want some type of cash settlement to shut the fuck up so they can continue on their run of being great at what they do in their entertainment field. They might be a fucking creep behind doors. Don't wait till then. Walk out of the office and say, this motherfucker just invited me to his dick to get this fucking role over this other young lady. Do that. Then I'll be like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's the shit I commend. So this Me Too movement shit, come out, speak up, speak your truth 20 years later type shit, man, fuck that. I don't want to hear it. I stopped caring after the first day. Or the first week. Maybe you go home and be like, damn, that was fucked up. Did he really do that? You think about it. But years later, and then it always end up being some not always. Most of the time, it end up being some crazy cash settlement, and you don't hear about it no more, and all. It just gets swept under the rug. I don't like that shit. You did it for a bag. If you're willing to take the bag to shut up about it like it never happened, you were in it for the money. You weren't in it for a Me Too type of movement situation. You were in it to get a bag in the first place. You should have just went back to that person and said, "Hey, listen, blackmail them. I've recorded that conversation. And if you don't give me an X amount of dollars, I'm going public." That's it. It'll never make the news. That person never get thrown under the rug. You'll still get your money, and we'll keep it moving. Don't settle out on court after you done drag somebody's name through the mud, and you're saying, "I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for all the other young ladies coming up who's going to find it hard in the industry from nasty men like that." And then you turn around and you took a bag. You're a fucking liar. You did it for yourself. You did it for yourself. And I'm sure this probably happened to some men out there too. Not a few men stepped up. I can't remember the names of a couple of the guys who stepped up, but a few guys did step up and say, "Damn, I did have a similar situation." I think like Terry Crews said something about it. And if I'm wrong, please tell me that I'm wrong. I don't want to just throw somebody out there saying that someone invited him to, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I believe he was one of the men who said, "I have a similar story." And I don't know if he did it or not. I doubt he did it, but I just know, you know, if it happened. I just think it's crazy. I don't like the time gap of people saying that something happened to them and then waiting so long and then accepting a bag after saying you're not doing it for, it's not about the money. It was sitting on my conscience. I couldn't sleep with it no more. And then because this other girl came out the first day or a week after it happened, I feel empowered now to get up and say something. And I want to back her because it happened to me too. Huh. Me too. We got to cut that shit out, man. We give too much power to old shit. And that's not cool. That's not cool. But now that we're talking about it, something just came out about, and we're just on the same line of shit. Two things. Let's talk about Tamar Braxton first. So I'm going to say about maybe within the last week, 10 days, something like that, she was on Wendy Williams. But also she was on, what's that, Ayana Changed My Life or whatever. And they had a therapy session with her family. Either way, long story short, she revealed that she was sexually molested by members of both sides of her family. And it's been, you know, of course it's been weighing heavy on her entire life. And now I see, now me, I am not a fan. I am personally not a fan of Tamar Braxton. Some of her music is okay to me. I'm not a fan of, I have a thing with personalities. I am not a fan of how she acts, how she treats people, how she talks to people. I am not a huge fan of that long term. Sometimes it's funny, you know, you got little funny moments and things like that. I was never a fan of how she treated Vince on the show. I don't know what she do behind closed doors because she said that was an abusive relationship as well, physically and mentally and emotionally, all the things women run down after they break up. And I don't condone that either. So, but in the public eye, she treated Vince like shit. In the public eye. Maybe behind closed door, maybe he did punch her in the face. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's fucked up. But it goes back, and I look and I say, I don't know. You really used to treat him like shit. Like you used to treat him like real shit in public, on the show. And maybe after y'all got off the show, maybe you were putting your hands on him too. Because I saw your anger. And I saw your ways like in the forefront. I saw you lash out. I saw you scream and yell. I saw, you know what I'm saying? I saw all of those things in the public, and I can only imagine that they're amplified off camera. And he seemed calm, but maybe he was like the calm, like, oh, when this camera go off, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. Maybe. And in no way are either one of them right. But that's what made me not like her publicly, because I've seen it. Like I've seen her do things, you know. So she goes on. She says, just, you know, I'm about to go off. She says, you know, she was sexually molested by both sides of members of her family. That's deep. She didn't name anybody. She didn't say who or nothing like that. But that's what makes it scary. And it went off, you know, that just goes back to me saying, now, when you're a kid, like she's talking about like a kid, like a real child. And she held it with her this long, and she probably still won't reveal the names and things like that. She'll take it to her grave. It's messed up when you're a kid and you're scared, you don't know what to do, and then you wait so long as the child to get into your adult years, and you try to be like, you know what, forget it's over, it's behind me, and you let it go. This is not the same as the Me Too movement. This is not the same because you were trying to get a job in the entertainment industry. Now, if you're 14 trying to get an acting gig and some grown-ass man invites you to this, and you don't know what to do about it, and then when you turn 18, you speak up, that I'm cool with. I'm cool with that. But if you're 30, if you're 18, you're 21, 30, 50, speak up when it happened. You're grown already. Speak your truth. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to talk it over with your parents or nothing like that. So she goes on to say, you know, Tamar Braxton goes on to say that, and I feel bad because that's a fucked up situation to be in. But then you got a lot of people turning around and they're saying like, oh man, see now I know why Tamar acts how she acts. No, the fuck you don't. You don't. That doesn't have nothing to do with. Well, it might, but that doesn't mean that that's the reason. She could just be a shitty person anyway. She can have that attitude anyway. It doesn't always have to be because maybe something happened as a kid. That's not a thing. I'm gonna touch back on that in a second. But while we're still on this whole Me Too thing, my man Drake. He pulled a nice little move. He had a girl a while back. Said that they had unprotected sex one time. She said that she got pregnant. He said, okay, cool. If you have the kid, let's get a paternity test. She disappeared. She up and gone. Came back around and said, oh, you raped me. He said, oh? Yeah, that's what happened. So we had consensual sex. Now I raped you. Then you had a kid. I asked for a paternity test. You disappeared. You pop back up. Now he's chasing her ass down, trying to find her. He's gonna take her ass to court. I think she should go to fuck to prison. That right there is part of that Me Too movement shit. A lot of women are out here lying as well. Groupies. F-level entertainers, whatever, D-level, C-level, some A-levels. They're lying. Not all, but some. Enough to make you be like, damn. Because you start looking at some of your favorite people so wrong because somebody said something that you weren't there for. And if, you know, it's one of them things like, we're watching Maury. And the guy comes out, it's a paternity test joint, the guy comes out, and everybody like, boo, boo. He like, man, fuck out of here, it ain't my baby, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yes, it is, I'm 1,000% sure. And she's snapping, and we all bashing that guy. He's a dickhead. How the fuck you ain't gonna take care of your kid, blah, 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 this ain't the third. Paternity test come out, boom, you are not the father. Oh, then we like, oh, shit, that's crazy. We never feel bad for fucking dragging that guy through the mud for those 5 minutes. That's why I wait till the test come out. But like, damn, I watch the story. It's funny. I watch the girl snap and all this, and the guy act a little funny and say things. The corny read the lines. I did not have sex with, like, all that shit. That's funny. Cool. I wait till the end to place my judgment. But on the show, even if they tell the crowd to react like that, people at home, I've seen people react like that too. Like, oh, that's fucked up. But we don't know. But we're so fast to judge the men all the time off the bat. Oh, he fucking nasty. Or he ain't shit. Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what? You don't even know what really happened. He trying to tell his side of the story, and we don't even want to listen. We just want to boo and call him a deadbeat before we even know. That shit is wild. It's wild. So, that Me Too movement now, it creates that type of atmosphere where, and I'm all for everyone being empowered. I'm not for just the women being empowered, or just the men, or just the black men. I'm all for everyone being empowered. One, for themselves. Two, for their culture. I'm all for it. And with the Me Too movement, it kind of isolates a lot of people, because now some guys are even scared to do business with some women, or even scared to turn down some women who they may think aren't good enough. But if they had a long conversation, or if they were like behind closed doors too long, they're like, shit. If I don't give this person this part or give them something, they can turn around tomorrow, 5, 10, 20 years later and say that conversation went completely left of what we had. So what they need to do, start doing now, recording every interview process, recording every audition, recording every what's supposed to be a private meeting. I say yeah. I mean, cover your ass. But they got to put more work into the business of what they were already doing successfully for however long they were doing it, whether it's a day or a decade. And it's crazy. So let's go more into, how I was saying we give so much power to one side or one sex and things like that real quick. Social. This is a social thing. So I saw a video on Facebook yesterday or 2 days ago. It was a guy pretty much for giving his daughter back to the mother of the daughter. I believe it was the daughter. I think it was his daughter. So giving the child back to the mom. The mom, and they had like a little quick argument about clothing that was with the father. And she like, I need the clothes. I don't. She don't have no clothes. Blah blah blah. I need the clothes. I just bought her 2 outfits the other day. All of her other things are small. And she's going on about it. And he's like, pretty much she's like, nah. I get the stuff that he has at his place. He wants to keep at his place. And so petty maybe. But he's like, you got your hair done. You got your nails done. You trying to tell me all you did was buy her 2 outfits. Now let me say this real quick. Children's clothing, especially babies, is not expensive. Children's clothing is not expensive. The first parent that get on here and lie and say yes it is, you are a liar. The shit's cheap, dirt cheap. You can get like 4 outfits for a dub these days. It's not that expensive. But need to hit on there. Everybody doesn't always have the money as well. Cool, I get that. So they go on. So my main point is they get to the end of the videos. It wasn't even that fast. Like she was like, "Fuck it." She took the baby out of the car, out like her baby and the car seat, out the car. Literally tossed the baby in the grass, slammed the car door, and drove off. Threw the little bit of diapers he gave her because I guess he gave her some of the diapers because she said she didn't have no diapers too. He gave her like a handful of diapers, and that's the end of the video. So he goes into saying like, I scroll through I always go through the comments and see what the majority says. The majority of the people. The question was, who you think was wrong in the situation? Now, briefly, the man was wrong only because, in my opinion, I think he let the conversation go on too long. He didn't have to explain himself to her. He didn't have to give her the stuff. But it was seemingly how he was doing it was kind of petty. Cool. So the pettiness was wrong. That's it. I commend him for everything else because I've seen it a lot. I've personally experienced it in my lifetime of my parenting. I know what it feels like to be on the short end of the stick, so to speak, on some of these issues as far as parenting goes. And so you have some of the women, they're like, she's a dickhead. I would never throw my baby out of the car and stuff like that. And these and the third. So cool. We're cool there. The women were like, she was dumb. She was all hype. And if her hair and nails there's no way I'll go without having with my child not having something, my hair and my nails done, blah, 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 this and the third. I would never do it. So you have those women. Then you have the women who are like, he's a dickhead. And I'm like, how? How is he a dickhead? Because he's in his home. He's stocked up for what his daughter needs when she comes with him. And in her home, she's not. How is he a dickhead for not wanting to shorten his supply to help her supply? Now, it sounds petty when you say it like that. Yes, but it's not. Because you look at it like this. If you can't do for your child, give the child to the parent who can. It's not hard. Stop trying to hold on to something so somebody will look at you and be like, you're a deadbeat. Because the thing about that is always a double standard. Because then to keep scrolling further down the line that I hate so much. Obviously, she's going through something. You can watch it in the video that, she's having a mental breakdown. Fuck that bullshit. scientifically proven, men and women go through postpartum depression, can go through postpartum depression. So stop using that shit. And it is comparable to all the women who say it's incomparable. It is comparable. It's a scientific fact. So you're going to say, oh, because my hormones change. So do ours. Our hormones change too. Especially we go through a period where we can't have sex medically because the doctor said so. We got to go through those types of things. We get a hormonal imbalance. Transference of energy is a real thing. So we go through the same types of things. Probably not the impact of our hormone imbalance is probably not as intense, but that doesn't mean our mental capabilities and our mental effects aren't as intense as well. So just to get that out there, men do suffer or can suffer postpartum depression as well. Look it up if you don't believe me before you hop on and say something crazy. So since that, everybody's all saying like, oh man, you can see she going through something and all this other stuff. I hate that. That's the first thing y'all say when a female doesn't seem like she's the best of a mother. She's not the best person or the best parent. We give her the whole postpartum depression escape. No, she's a fucking deadbeat. If a guy gotta be a deadbeat instantly for not doing one thing shown on to the social eye, he's automatically a deadbeat. She's a deadbeat too. Me too, right? Equal opportunity, right? Y'all can't have all the fucking cake. It can't always be that way for women. We can't always just be like, yeah, it's cool. You know, she's going through something. Maybe, because we never really know. We always say maybe she's going through postpartum. No, she not. She don't fucking feel like it. She want to go out here and live her best life still and have a kid on the side. It happens. There are women who do that. It's a real thing. It'd be crazy too because a lot of women go and they fight to keep the child, to go and leave the child at their mom's house so they can go do whatever the fuck they want. They take the fucking dad to court for child support, partial custody, visitation, all this other shit, and then go and take the child and the child lives with the mom, don't even live with you. And y'all fight for that shit. So y'all can get an extra check and all. It's weird. And that's not my situation. So I'm not speaking from experience. That's not my life situation. As far as like the mother of a child just sending it off to go live with somebody. I don't have one of those situations. But I see it all the time. I know people who don't have any of their kids. They just drop them off at the parent house and the parents like, They do it because they love their child and they be like, I want my child to go out here and be successful and I'm doing it for the family and stuff like that, and you're throwing in a tight spot. You're taking care. You're a parent for your grandchild, or you're living with the child's living with the aunt and all this other stuff like that. But then we turn around and all we do is chalk it up to postpartum depression. She couldn't handle it. She was going through it. Blah blah blah. And there are some legit cases of postpartum depression. Yes, I've seen it. You know the legit cases I'm talking about. The ones where they go off and kill their fucking kids because they can't deal with the pressures of an infant crying because they can't get no sleep. Not because you want to go out on a weekend. Not because you got a new boyfriend. Shit like that. It's like because they can't deal with the pressures of being a parent. That's postpartum depression. You off the child. All this other shit, I ain't with it. I'm not with that as an excuse. I'm tired of women always trying to back women with the excuse of a mental illness. And that's it. That's not cool. That's not cool because then we get thrown as deadbeats and they get thrown as mentally ill. Maybe being a deadbeat father is a mental illness, especially in the black community where we're purposely and we all sit back and we're like, oh, we were systematically programmed to not be in the home with our kids since slavery. Systematically programmed to not be there. You have a kid, slavery time, they snatch you away from your family, they throw you in your fields, your kid gets snatched over here, or the mom now because the wife of the house had a kid too, but she don't want to mess her titties up. So now you gonna take your wife, your kid gets malnutrition. We don't give a fuck what your kid really eat, and you're gonna go feed my kids off your titties. And then and the black man works in the field. Y'all don't get to see each other because we also don't want y'all to continue to breed all the time until we're ready to breed a new round of slaves and raise them up to be slaves again. On into today, the economy is so bad that Black men gotta work. Some of us, if we're in a bad economy, in a bad situation, and things like that, if we can't advance in life or don't own our own, a lot of us work multiple jobs, and it takes away time from our family, and we're away from the home. A lot, systematically programmed to not be in the home, raising our family, because we gotta make money, we gotta survive, or we gotta do what somebody else said, or we going to jail, shit like that. But then we turn around, and that's a mental illness over an entire race of people. A mental construct, if I'm using that term right. But we turn and say postpartum depression. It's like, oh, it's postpartum depression, and you're a deadbeat. But it was programmed for me to not be here from the beginning. You see what I'm saying? So I commend all the fathers who are there in their child's life in any capacity, whatever you can. Whatever capacity you can be there, how much and how often. Because also women don't make it so hard for him to be there. If you're one of those women who's like, nah, fuck that. If you couldn't buy a pack of diapers, you can't see your child. Petty as shit. Don't do that. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of things. If you don't like the new girlfriend, he can't see his child, because I don't want my child around that bitch. So now he's losing out. He can't live his life and build a family and be comfortable in his own home because you don't like the person that he's with, or because you're still bitter about something. That's not cool either. Or you don't want that child, if that person has other siblings, other children. I don't want my kids around his other kids. I don't care about that. I don't want them to know their family. You know what I'm saying? And every situation in life is different, but things like that go on, and it's bad. Like this whole, again, off on a tangent, but those things happen. The Me Too movement comes out and do things like that. Things like that happen, and there are a lot of bad situations for people who, make them worse. But stop giving women excuses. Some of them are just bad mothers. Let's start saying that. Like, she's a bad mom. That video proved to me that woman was a bad mother. Period. Just that simple. So, let's get back into entertainment. Back into the entertainment news, guys. We were talking about Cardi B before. Let's talk about it a little bit more. So, from my understanding, Maroon 5 is headlining the Super Bowl halftime show, and that Cardi B and I believe Offset were invited to be part of the halftime show as well. This is big, because I was saying that she won't be invited to no major shit after that stunt she pulled at Fashion Week. So this is big. This is huge platform. Great for her. I commend it. I don't want her to lose. I just think she fucked up some money. But this is one of the biggest stages she can ever perform on. So, I'm hearing she getting that. But now I'm hearing she's also asking for a little set of her own in that segment. So I'm assuming she was, and I don't know about the music that she has with Maroon 5. I didn't know they had something together. But she might, from where I assume, that she was performing with them. And now that she wants a set, I'm like, oh, she didn't really have time to do something on her own. She's still on the stage. It's still a great look. But you were invited like as a feature, stuff like that. And for me, because I do music for that, like, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? That's good. That's a good look. But but now it's like you're asking for a lot now. If you're asking for more than what they're already giving you at the Super Bowl, you start to look at like, you're asking a lot. Because you getting more time means Maroon 5 gets less time. Because the halftime show is the halftime show. We're not making it any longer. We can make it shorter, but we're not making it any longer than what it already, because we have to. There's a football game going on, and we run it on time constraints here. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like, her asking for more time on one of the biggest stages. You were already invited to do something major. I'll just say take what they're giving you, and then turn that into a mini rebrand of getting your shit back together. Because the Super Bowl is close, theoretically. A couple months out, 6 months out or something like that. That's not that far away. October, November, December, January, February. Yeah, 5 months out. Take it. Don't fuck up the bag. Do not fuck up. I don't want to see Offset there, though. I really need to know what song they all did together that I don't know. For me, I need to, because I don't know. I didn't know she did a song with Maroon 5. Anybody from Maroon 5 at all. I had no idea. So that speaks, to the things that I know and don't know. That's a good look. I like it. But don't mess up that bag, Cardi. Take what they give you at the Super Bowl and keep it going. So, speaking of entertainment stuff, I think it was just revealed that LeBron James is actually going to do Space Jam 2. Even when they were talking about it before, it was never really something that was super confirmed, but I think they confirmed it lately. How do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about LeBron, being the face of Space Jam 2? I think it's great. I mean, of course, we've never seen him act. I have never seen him act. Let's go with that, because someone might have seen it. He may have something, a cameo somewhere or something. But I've never seen him act, so I don't know how that's going to go. But then Michael Jordan wasn't an actor either. I kind of feel like LeBron might be a better actor than what Michael Jordan was. I mean, he's no Shaq. But I think that would be a good look. For this time period in this era, we are about to go into a new era of basketball. Seemingly, LeBron is heading to the end of his career, and new talent is in the league, and new talent will be coming into the league. A lot of people's favorite basketball player, as far as the youth, is going to change. We're going to have a lot of people, 14 years from now, it's going to be like, LeBron wasn't better than whoever, Zion. Let's just take him for example, because he might get in the league and do phenomenal things. So I think it's great to have something that's going to kind of puts you in a time capsule in your era. Like, boom, the best basketball player of this time frame, maybe of all time, arguably. Got this one movie, because Space Jam did that for Michael Jordan. It's one of them, like, we're going to get the greatest basketball player in the world to go up against the greatest basketball players in the universe. You know what I'm saying? The greatest. Yeah. So it's like, that's great. I like that little theory. I think it's good. I don't think it's a bad thing. Man. So, I don't know. Not too much more we could talk about today. I don't know anything more about the social views. The Bill Cosby news was kind of like abrupt. It just happened. But 3 to 10 ain't that bad. And funny news, real quick before we close. Rapper Lil Xan, of course, probably a lot of people won't know who the hell I'm talking about, but he talked about something. He went to the hospital. It was funny because he said, I went to the hospital because I OD'd on eating too many hot Cheetos. And I found that hilarious. And I don't know if it was really like drugs for real and really had some OD. He was the one up and talking about it, so it wasn't like some random article. He said it. And I found it funny that he could find humor in things like that. But then maybe it was. Maybe he just was fucking knocking off thousands of bags of hot Cheetos and had to go to the hospital because it made his stomach hurt. Who fucking knows? But I found that hilarious. I'm glad that it really, like the article and stuff, it really wasn't like Lil Xan ODs on whatever drug and he like died or is in a coma or just OD'd on drugs and then hospital, period. I'm glad that wasn't a thing. I don't want to see anybody go out like that. I'm just tired of the whole drug narrative so far. So, all right, but I'm about to wrap this up, guys. If you have a question or comment or topic you think I should talk about, especially on next week's show, if it's something social, a social view, you can ask me about it now. We can talk about it next week. If it's something entertainment that happened today after the show airs, then no, it's not going to be something we can talk about. But we'll keep it moving from there. So thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you for the guys here on my Instagram live. Thank you guys who watched on my Facebook Live, the people who comment, especially the ones who dropped the information about Bill Cosby. Thank you everyone who's going to watch on YouTube. Thank you to the people who are listening on SoundCloud. And I'm out of here. This is Highly Flavored. This is podcast. This is a Highly Flavored podcast. Highly Flavored podcast. Episode number 5. I'm your host, Eddie Royal, guys, and I am gone. See ya.